selfishness, blind ambition, and recklessness.
Prepare.
Parts of what led humanity to the worst breaking point in human history. The 7-hour war. Collapse. Humanity's surrender to an oppressive force that left billions of people dead and the fabric of civilization completely shattered.
I can't take it anymore.
Those who survived envied the dead. Traumatized, those who remained were forced to stay silent and obedient, as everything they had was taken away from them.
It's all I have left.
Food, property, their children and loved ones. Their basic human rights and even individuality were being suppressed as they were staring at the screen of this one-man dictator, promising them nothing but poetic philosophies and fairy tales of stability. What they had instead was terror upon terror. Remaining people of Earth were then prisoners of a military force known as the Combine, re-educated gradually. Less rights as the days went on, more freedom stripped away, human-like meals, treats, replaced by dog food replaced by powder. Only way forward was to give everything and everyone up, to join the very force that strangled you, to give up what was left of morality and ethics, to leave your love as she cries in agony, to leave what made you human, to prey upon people who mirrored your fate, just so you can get more vitamins and have your hair and nails grow again, but not for long. Love, warmth, smile, to put a lock on it and throw away the key. We took it all for granted. To this day, we dream of life before, and it was all green, and it was not all perfect, but it was not this. It all started at Black Mesa, a research facility they called it. A crater now, but it was all a ticking bomb, a machine of death in the making. They knew the risks, but money, authority ruled over all, and so they assembled it. Black Mesa was located in New Mexico. It was founded shortly after the World War II. Scientists, remnants of the Nazi Germany, who were behind machines of destruction, eugenics, brutal experimentation on war prisoners, were kindly collected and hired in a typical fashion by the United States government, spread across thousands of remote secret facilities to share what they've learned in concentration camps and put their talents of a kind to use. Black Mesa was one of those facilities, founded by members of United States government, those of Jewish descent.
Laboratory, an $8 million research center, boasting the ultimate facilities for its job in every field from the medical to the mechanical. Safety precautions are enforced as strict law and observed as everyday routine. Despite the lethal danger, the accident rate is lower than the industrial average.
They could not let those mad scientists of better tomorrow go to waste. They were treated well, with respect, and a very large paycheck. Those who forged death of your ancestors. For long, this facility's existence was not disclosed to anybody, not even the military guarding it. There were talks by the so-called conspiracy theorists that they might be holding aliens in there. If only things were that simple. Top German scientists had to grind their remaining lives down in that facility. Do what they do best.
Chemical agent was introduced. The cat's behavior became temporarily frightened, defensive, contrary to his normal behavior.
They could go outside once in a while to get a shine of sun onto their skins, but they weren't really free back then. They were there to provide a service to United States government. While initially kept under tight security and restricted from leaving their facilities, these constraints were quickly relaxed. They were eventually granted regular leave and vacations, allowed to bring over their families, and many ultimately became United States citizens. Facility was still kept under the wraps. Mostly children of those Germans were allowed to work in there initially, but over time the facility was populated by excelling MIT graduates and students from all around the country, Europe and Switzerland, under extreme non-disclosure agreements. Wallace Breen, the last administrator of Black Mesa, was originally one of those American children of Germanic descent, of privileged parents. Regularly bullied at school for being quote-unquote a son of Hitler, he quickly grew to hate humanity down in his guts, striving to prove to people that he is something more than that. But he was just a lapdog, this scumbag. Went to many meetings, spoke regularly in European Parliament. Guy was this boring political goose with a sense of pride. We know the kind. He didn't truly give a shit. He was an administrator of a ticking bomb that would later be used to orchestrate humanity's downfall and the takeover of other dimensions. This facility was an investment since the beginning, and one day he got an offer that he craved for his entire life, an offer he could not refuse, a promotion if you will. One day he gets a visit by the so-called member of United States Department of Defense, delivering the purest sample of a crystal extracted from other dimensional border world, then a crystal of the likes they've never seen before, and offering him the so-called promotion if he was willing to accept it. A contract to be someone high up, someone higher than the president, to sit on top of a pyramid, but not truly above it, for his service to United States government over the many years.
The administrator is very concerned that we get a conclusive analysis of today's sample.
When he brought in that crystal, I knew I should have aborted that damn test, but...
The time's come. At that important day, he was sheltered, prepared for his ultimate position, as the sample was delivered for a typical routine day anti-mass spectrometer analysis.
Did you catch that last fluctuation? It's nothing to worry about. We should harness the remaining photonic energy to ensure resonance control. Double-check the Brewster's plate's angles and make sure the superluminescent diodes are protected from optical feedback. How curious. The acousto-optic modulators are on the fritz again.
What's up, Doc?
Ah, Gordon, there you are.
A set of specialized scientists were tasked with conducting an experiment by the directive of Wallace Breen, who was absent from office that day as he silently awaited the experiment's sinister result.
Analysis of today's sample. I gather he went to some lengths to get it.
They're waiting for you, Gordon. In the test chamber.
Right. Come on then, I'll walk you down.
Eli has been busy making last-minute preparations for the new experiment. Greetings, Eli.
Morning, Izzy.
I trust this morning finds you well.
Gordon, good morning. I'm glad you're here. These last-minute changes, they're a bit strange to just... Oh! It's about to go critical.
What in the blazes is going on with our equipment?
It was never meant to do this in the first place.
It's nothing we can't handle ourselves, Eli. Run along, Gordon. We'll be but a moment. By Becquerel's ghost! The radiation level is off the charts. You know, this is far from the glory I had envisioned as an undergrad.
How so?
I've got 2 PhDs and an Ørsted medal, yet I find myself doing work best suited for an intern.
Please. You do very meaningful work here.
Really? Push that button. Walk over here. Push this one. Stand and stare at the screen. Walk back over there. Push another button. Again.
Come now, you're overreacting.
I don't know how much longer I can abide these perfunctory tasks. I need more time for myself.
Ha! Don't kid yourself. You wouldn't know what to do with free time if you even had any.
That tears it. I'm going to check with the office upstairs and see how many vacation days I've accrued over the past 25 years. It's high time I took a break from all this.
Certainly. But before you do, activate the electron multiplier and report the reading from the micro-channel plates.
Testing. Everything seems to be in order.
Very good. We'll take it from here.
Power to stage 1 emitters in 3, 2, 1. I'm seeing predictable phase arrays. Stage 2 emitters activating now. but I'm showing a small discrepancy in... Well, no. It's well within acceptable bounds again. Sustaining sequence.
We've just been informed that the sample is ready, Gordon. It should be coming up to you at any moment. Look to the delivery system for your specimen. Standard insertion of non-standard specimen.
He sold out all of humanity in favor of his own blistering ego.
It's not shutting down!
The shadow government's master plan went as planned yet again. A resonance cascade, a phenomenon of chaotic teleportation of other dimensional beings all around the Earth, or so we were told. Gordon Freeman, a theoretical physicist, was one of the scientists behind the experiment. He was set up that day, framed to be the one behind the incident. Breen would rub it off as Gordon's personal failure. Freeman was supposed to die that day or suffer the legal consequences if he showed up, but things wouldn't quite work out in that favor in the long run, as the chaos ensued and the severity of the resonance cascade couldn't be measured without one. But we know where it all went.
Some of the worst excesses of the Black Mesa incident have been laid directly at his feet. And yet unsophisticated minds continue to imbue him with romantic power, giving him such dangerous poetic labels as the one free man, the opener of the way.
Listen, I tried to warn you.
I never thought I'd see a resonance cascade, let alone create one. By Schrodinger's cat, he's alive.
Gordon! Thank God for that hazard suit. All the phones are out. I can't reach anyone in the facility. We need to get to the surface and let someone know that we're stranded down here. There's no telling what kind of danger it's in.
Authorities. At 9:47 a.m. Mountain Time, a disaster of unknown type has occurred at the Black Mesa Research Facility, causing significant damage and failure to various tower and communication systems in the surrounding areas. An immediate evacuation order has been issued and on-site military has been dispatched to provide assistance. Make sure to bring an emergency supply of food, water, clothing, first aid kit, flashlights with extra batteries, and battery-powered radios. Follow local evacuation routes, which have been marked by local authorities, and only use one vehicle. Do not return to the warning area until the all clear has been given. Stay tuned to local news media outlets for further details and information on this situation.
What have we done?
Unforeseen consequences. The last time I heard those words was back at Black Mesa. You had just stepped into the test chamber when he whispered them in my ear.
Prepare for unforeseen consequences.
Following the catastrophe, only the epicenter was exposed to erratic teleportation of dangerous creatures, while the rest of the world lived their normal lives, contrary to what was believed by many. Not even a big portion of the hazardous environment's combat unit knew what occurred in the facility even hours into the incident, as they weren't yet exposed to any creatures and were kept on the need-to-know basis.
This is another search and rescue operation. I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pissed too when I gotta search out and rescue your sorry ass.
Those who have successfully reached Black Mesa were tasked with cleaning up the entire operation by killing everyone in the facility.
Oh, rescued at last! Thank God you're here! No! No!
It was a matter of stopping the catastrophe and preventing any possible whistleblower from spreading the information about the incident. While humans and interdimensional aliens were fighting each other, news about some experiment that went wrong in some facility in New Mexico were buried under more distractions about Jeffrey Epstein. No specifics were made about the nature of the incident, and only the conspiracy theory and religious YouTube channels were covering that whole topic. No one was let in or out of the facility. Nearly all those who tried to escape paid with their lives.
Hold on a moment. I can provide you my ID card.
Ravaged by both the military forces and the creatures. But covering this whole situation up was nearly impossible. The cover-up mission was almost a failure.
The biggest embarrassment has been Black Mesa facility, but I think that's finally taken care of itself.
Shadow government was completely embarrassed by military not being able to contain the situation. Creatures kept spawning left and right, and military was stretched to the breaking point. They knew it was only a matter of time before someone started blowing a whistle. The only viable solution was to bring out a big bomb capable of blasting the whole facility into the ground. that was the last resort, and so the shadow government gave a go. Posed as Donald Trump's nuclear missile test, a thermonuclear device was delivered by some clandestine operations company. The very same so-called government man was there the entire time, overseeing that everything went according to plan. Adrian Shepard, a young corporal, successfully disarmed a bomb against the government's plan to blow up the facility, only to be reactivated by the reptilian with a briefcase. The situation was clear. The shadow government wanted the facility destroyed. They hired the military and it failed. So the Black Ops had to step in and deliver the bomb to its destination. This was all a cover-up. Shortly after, Adrian was detained. To the government, people were just a resource, pawns, a meat grinder. A man of his survival skills would be a good resource, and they made sure that he won't be put to waste. But he is not a free man. He is kept away from the face of the public to not spread any unauthorized information about the incident. Adrian had seen it all. It was a priority to keep him away, so a lizard man of the government can close his report of a cover-up being success.
And now I require a further indulgence on your part. I cannot close my report until every loose end has been tied up. The biggest embarrassment has been Black Mesa facility, but I think that's finally taken care of itself. Quite so.
This is how the incident ended. But it was no incident. It was all a plan that came into fruition. Many hours before the detonation, Gordon Freeman was closely observed by the government man throughout his progress to the Lambda complex. Gordon was tasked with launching a satellite delivery rocket from a nearby installation out on the surface.
Hey, it's Freeman, right? Hold up a sec. One of your scientist pals said they gave you a message. You're supposed to take this old rail system up to some sort of satellite delivery rocket or something. I don't know where it is exactly. The old guy was so worried about getting out alive he didn't think to stop and tell me. Anyway, the main thing is, the military aborted the launch. So when you find the rocket, well, if you find the rocket, you'll have to get up to the control room and launch it yourself. He said something about a Lambda team needing the satellite in orbit if they were ever going to clean up this mess. Now, get going. I'm going to stick around and help any other stragglers.
A rocket that would create a signal between Earth's atmosphere, a direct connection between the teleportation devices inside Black Mesa, and one-sided connection towards Zen, and would also help close one side of the door, one current of uncontrollable teleportation.
You should see... You should see the other guy.
Attention, all personnel. Launch control train activated. Clear area immediately.
still an experiment. Any one of tens of thousands of things can go wrong, with catastrophic results. But all that can be done to assure perfection has been done. The moment is at hand. The countdown reaches 0. Some 3 minutes later, Explorer is in orbit, broadcasting to the world its coded scientific data.
Gas giants, inhabited by vast meteorological intelligences, worlds stretched thin across the membranes where the dimensions intersect.
A satellite delivery rocket was then successfully launched. Lambda team started receiving a signal, which helped them open a portal to Xen by setting up specific Xen coordinates thanks to the data encoded onto the satellite. Resonance reversal from the other lab succeeded, but the other current held inside a singular being on Xen was still being held. Rocket and the satellite did exactly what they were supposed to do. This rocket wasn't launched to just close a portal. It didn't fail. It was launched to open one, to enable the final teleportation sequence. Lambda team starts an operation of sending candidate scientists in HEV suits to Xen. Lambda team have already figured out that closing the teleportation flood of Xen creatures on Earth wouldn't be possible without going to Xen and manually closing a portal by destroying a singular being holding a one-side teleportation connection from Xen to Earth. Unfortunately, efforts of those scientists were completely in vain, as they haven't lasted long out there. The only hope was for Gordon Freeman to reach the facility and end this madness. Everything regarding teleportation is all about a calculated displacement, so there is a chance that the Lambda Complex portal already had Xen relay emulation active, meaning they would potentially be able to pull Gordon out without the requirement for a triangulation device. But considering Teleporter was destroyed shortly after, this would serve no use. Thankfully, earlier around that time, Barney Calhoun, a security guard, encountered Dr. Rosenberg. He had a vast experience with teleportation technology.
We got that bastard. What's the status on Freeman?
Yes, I'm Dr. Rosenberg. Although I'm not very proud to admit it, seeing as though I'm partially responsible for all of this. How did you know my name? Oh, I see. Poor Harold. Yes, our plan was to get to one of the old prototype labs. It involved something that very few people in the facility are authorized to know about. The same technology that brought about this catastrophe could also be our only way out. You see, I was involved in the very early work on teleporter technology, long before the Lambda Complex was even built. There may be enough equipment in the old lab to piece together a device that would allow us to teleport outside of the facility. As improbable as that may sound to someone like yourself. Of course, none of that does a whole lot of good while we're stuck in here. Slow down a bit. I'll be right behind you. Hold on, Calhoun. I need to take a break. All right, let's stick together. I need to rest a bit before I could go on. Let's get going. Slow down, Calhoun. I can't keep up at this pace.
They've made their way to an old lab that uses an older technology.
Well, looks like the equipment is in better shape than I expected.
Rosenberg explains Barney that teleportation is more complex than just traveling from point A to point B.
This older technology does not have the ability to target an Earth destination in its current state. You see, Mr. Calhoun, teleportation isn't as easy as going from point A to point B. We've discovered a strange border world that was somehow involved in the process, which kept us from accurately predicting where any given teleportation event would lead to back on Earth.
Even then, you wouldn't be able to set a teleportation device onto then coordinates and expect a result. You'd need to detect the coordinates, and you'd need the connection. You'd need Black Mesa and the teleportation device to catch a one-sided connection to Zen. That was achieved thanks to Gordon and a satellite payload that is able to hold this one-sided connection. However, this satellite can only create a portal to Zen. A teleportation back without a triangulation device would not be possible. Chances are, no full-blown teleportation devices in Black Mesa are capable of Zen emulation, because it was limited around that time. Here's how a connection works. Teleportation device catches a connection of the satellite. A satellite holds the connection with Zen itself, since atmosphere of this border world is extremely powerful. It is a key location. A triangulation device on Zen establishes a framework for connection with Black Mesa and Earth's teleportation devices. And Zen crystal plays a crucial role with the actual teleportation process. This crystal and the signal connection are the points that allow a seamless swing with Zen during the actual teleportation process, which would then allow a more precise teleportation based on the coordinates set by the teleportation device. Portal on Earth refers to the crystal. You essentially swing to a connection with this crystal during the actual teleportation process. And then the triangulation device the crystal is attached to allows you to teleport to a more accurate position on Earth. Otherwise, there would either be a complete void or death. So, ironically, a satellite is able to send humans directly to Zen, but for the actual precise teleportation around Earth, you'd need this device in a completely different world to hold the triangulated connection. You need a triangulation device or Zen relay emulation, or to physically pass through Zen, and actually have someone from the destination point create a portal for you on Zen to reach the destination of another teleportation device. A relay just skips the necessity to pass through Zen directly. A relay helps more targeted teleportation with just one teleportation device on Earth, by simply setting the coordinates and having enough power to supply the device. With this whole relay connection, Black Mesa satellite connection, network connection, proper tunneling, only then you are able to properly teleport. The source on Earth you'd actually want to reach should be established on Earth and actually be active. The problem, however, is that holding a portal from Earth to Zen or backwards would be extremely resource intensive. So resource intensive that it could potentially cause a vast power outage or likely an explosion of the Earth's teleportation device. Teleportation is extremely restricted. Inside Lambda Complex, there were also short-ranged prototypes of a newer teleportation technology. This was the early Zen compression, an emulation of the Zen relay. This teleportation method did not need Zen as an expressed access. It did not need a triangulation device. It did not need anybody to physically pass through Zen just for someone to open a portal from the other side. That connection was still extremely expensive and likely short-ranged. And so, Barney successfully enables the triangulation device on Zen, risking his own life. Rosenberg is now able to create a portal, sending him back safely with a fixed, calculated displacement. There is now data and there is now a safe return. However, it is so power-consuming that Barney needed to run to the portal as fast as he could.
You must hurry! The teleporter charge is running out!
That short portal was so resource-intensive that Barney would need to find a new power cell to this time actually escape the facility.
The signal we're getting is very strong, but I'm afraid I have some bad news. The power reserves were just enough to open the field for your trip to the border world. If we plan on keeping the teleporter open long enough to calculate a safe exit point and allow time for everyone to go through, someone will have to go to the lower level and retrieve another power cell. A few of our colleagues went down there a while ago, but we haven't heard from them since. I can only fear for the worst. I hate to keep putting you in this position, but you must realize that if someone doesn't go down there, then none of us will get out of here alive. Besides, you're the best equipped to deal with any dangers that may be waiting. Here, I'll show you to the access elevator that leads to the power generator. Follow. We've already begun preparing the device with the fresh power cell you sent up. This time, however, the process is going to be a bit more complex, so I'll need you to help me in the main room. Let's hurry, there's no time to waste. Good luck, Mr. Calhoun. I'll see you on the other side!
Since there is now a connection, Barney, Dr. Rosenberg, and more of those lab cockroaches have left the facility.
We thought that Oh no, there's something wrong here. Simmons, come look at Calhoun! His body seems to be in some sort of resonance displacement.
Something went wrong, something glitched, and Barney started teleporting in completely random locations around Zen and Black Mesa.
Oh, thank God you made it. I was worried that a malfunction occurred at the last moment and you might have been caught in an infinite harmonic reflux. If that's the case, then you're lucky to be standing here. Then again, we're all lucky. Thanks to you, however, we were actually able to pull off this harebrained idea. We made it, Mr. Calhoun. We made it.
He returned, got lucky, since none of those random teleportations were fatal. It is worth noting that teleportation wasn't far away from the facility. It seems as though the teleportation with this technology was so limited that it had a short range and could only teleport you around or next to the facility, rather than appearing just about anywhere. Upon reaching the Lambda complex, Gordon is then instructed to carry out this mission of closing the other current, the last displacement that creates a one-side uncontrollable teleportation of creatures from Zen to Earth.
These readings have given us reason to suspect that there is an immense portal over there, created and maintained by the intense concentration of a single powerful being. I'm sure that you will know it when you see it. I am loath to say this, Gordon, but you must kill it.
Yeah, you better kill it. No ifs, ands, or asses about it.
Of course, you owe us nothing, Dr. Freeman. But you've come this far. You know as much about these creatures as anyone.
Enough to know that if you don't wipe it out, well, Let's put it this way. There ain't gonna be much for you to come home to.
Gordon Freeman eventually succeeds at that and closes the last portal. It is a full resonance reversal. Nothing could make its way back to Earth. Gordon is then contacted by one of the employees of the Shadow Government, responsible for this whole situation. A G-Man explains Gordon that Zen is now under their control, for now.
The border world, Zen, is in our control. For the time being, thanks to you.
A control of the Shadow Government before it gets sold off or handed to someone else. This is what it was all for, to take over Zen, this extremely powerful border world, allowing targeted teleportation, quote-unquote liberated from nihilants, cause a genocide of Zen creatures that happened because of humans who stole those crystalline artifacts from Zen to begin with, and G-Man's pure sample. This is what this facility was built for since the very beginning, an investment with tons of sacrifices. Gordon is given an offer he cannot refuse. It is either death or a job for the very government that caused this massive loss of life.
If you're interested, just step into the portal and I will take that as a yes. Otherwise, well, I can offer you a battle you have no chance of winning. Rather an anticlimax after what you've just survived. Time to choose.
Gordon accepted the job. Shortly after, a thermonuclear device is detonated at Black Mesa, destroying all teleportation devices. Covering up the whole situation. No media covered it, nothing. It was just a nuclear missile test, nothing major. This is where the Black Mesa incident ended. Wallace Breen, administrator of Black Mesa, who evaded this whole situation, sold everyone out, is now craving to speak to all of humanity. With full both current resonance reversals, short-ranged resonance cascade was over. Nothing could make its way back to Earth. But since the Shadow Government now took over Zen, things get more troubling for the humanity, and Gordon is only a pawn in a larger scheme that will lead even more human losses down the line. A complete nightmare was yet to begin. A large-scale government conspiracy is underway. This whole situation will then be used to condition all of humanity, enslave it, and restrict it. Let's do a rundown of how the teleportation works, as it is crucial to the point about the Combine. Teleportation that humanity developed was very limited, but also extremely advanced. Zen played a crucial role. Zen by itself contains crystals and likely produced some form of energy, a field that, if detected with proper signaling, can let humans build a connection and materialize there. Otherwise, the Black Mesa teleportation device is buried underground with no line of sight to Zen. For it to target Zen at all, there must be some established connection, some channel it can calculate toward. Satellite connection detects the exact coordinates, and then humans are allowed to build a one-way connection with Zen. But in order to go back from Zen to Earth, you still need a teleportation device, a source on Earth that can create a portal there. Without this connection, teleporting to Earth would not be possible, either reliably or at all. Earth's atmosphere is closed. It is shielded from being a destination, unless an unstable or stable link is built. For Earth to be a destination, you need either a deliberate relay link with a crystal, or you need a crystal to be exposed to the anti-mass spectrometer. A crystal itself holds a direct link with Nihilan's mind. One exposure of a pure specimen can create an extremely clear link of Nihilans with Earth, to the point that even shutting down a source on Earth would still allow Nihilans to hold a connection, unless it is manually closed. It is an unstable link, a one-way connection of Zen with Earth. That connection only allows random, erratic teleportation of creatures around the Black Mesa facility. This does not enable any teleportation device on Earth to travel to Zen. This is a whole different procedure. If the Zen triangulation device is sending a signal back to Earth for targeting purposes, what exactly is it connecting to? Triangulation requires multiple known reference points. A single device on Zen broadcasting into the void doesn't automatically give you Earth coordinates. For the device to triangulate or relay to target data back to Black Mesa, there would need to be a receiver on Earth, something that can pick up the signal from Zen, multiple reference points, otherwise it's not a triangulation, it's just a beacon. The satellite isn't just for outbound travel or resonance reversal, it's the orbital receiver that makes the return, targeting, and teleportation around Earth as a destination possible. But without it, Zen device broadcasts into nothing. Earth's labs have no reference frame to calculate against. There needs to be some form of facility network.
We'll reopen the teleporter for your return once we receive the signal, but you must hurry back.
We received the signal. From where? If the signal is coming from Zen, something on Earth has to be listening. The buried prototype lab isn't picking up dimensional signals directly. The satellite is the logical receiver. The satellite shows us both. The foundational Earth to Zen link, enabling outbound teleportation. The orbital receiver that picks up the triangulation device's signal, enabling targeted return. You need an orbital platform that can broadcast and counter specific resonance frequencies. Teleportation device manipulation is not just a local physics experiment. Coordinates need to be received, the signal needs to be received, and the barrier, or being able to receive a link, is directly related to the satellites. Zen, despite being placed in a whole different dimension, is an actual physical place and time, a destination you can reach. It's all about facility's central dimensional infrastructure, which is maintained from orbit. Teleportation device connects to the network of the facility itself. It doesn't directly detect the coordinates or anything like that. The orbital satellite is the detection and relay platform. It picked up Zen's crystal resonance signature. This provided the coordinate framework for the Black Mesa teleportation devices to calculate displacement trajectories. The focuser was added to complete the array for bidirectional precision targeting. Without the focuser, the array can still push matter to Zen, but cannot reliably calculate return coordinates. The satellite didn't just maintain a link, it discovered Zen. The crystals produced a detectable dimensional signature that the orbital sensors picked up, giving Black Mesa the data they needed to aim their teleportation experiments. The survey team then went to Zen using this detected coordinate framework, placed the focuser, and the array became complete. The same Earth to Zen satellite was shut off, launched again, and so on. Mostly for safety purposes, to not have a constant connection with Zen. But even if there was a permanent satellite in orbit catching a signal from Zen, it would only enable teleportation from Earth to Zen, and not the other way around. Satellite would essentially be in a dormant state. The other way around would be impossible without the relay. It would also be impossible with a relay. So let's picture this. Black Mesa is completely destroyed, but the orbital satellite Gordon launched is still active and holds a connection with triangulation device on Zen that is also enabled. That would not enable teleportation from Zen to Earth. The satellite in orbit would be in dormant state. In other words, there is no end source on Earth to receive a link via Black Mesa network to actually create a portal. Even if it's a full Earth network, it wouldn't change anything. Earth has a critical advantage of being able to create a barrier from Earth to Zen. It can also give you Zen-related data, but it cannot by itself allow you to target Earth. You can't use triangulation device that allows teleportation on Earth and Earth to Zen satellite as a way to materialize on Earth without a source on Earth, done within the confines of powering something else from Earth. The satellite is one node in a distributed system. Alone, it has no capability to access Earth. It's like a Wi-Fi router with no connected devices and no internet modem. The signal exists, but nothing can use it. This is why nothing invaded Earth ever in history, until a crystal that was stolen from the other dimension allowed a completely separate one-sided Zen to Earth link that was subsequently shut down, with Nihil instead. The satellite array cannot be used to access Earth because the satellite is a relay node, not a portal generator. Earth access requires the Lambda core ground processing infrastructure, which is destroyed. The array is asymmetric, designed for Earth-initiated travel, with Zen-assisted return, not independent Zen-side Earth access. Even with the satellite and focuser active, there is no Earth-side receiver or processor to complete the calculation and open the portal. The focuser provides a return targeting data for an Earth-initiated portal, not just physical return, but a slingshot return, using relay data and crystal connection. It does not open portals itself, generate displacement fields, calculate Earth coordinates, pull matter from Zen to Earth. It is a beacon, not a gate. The gate is on Earth. The Earth device did everything. The focuser and the satellite only provided the data needed for the Earth device to aim. The actual emission, energy, and materialization were all Earth-side executions. Why can Earth to Zen link be built with a satellite, but a satellite cannot be used using the same structure to target Earth? Because Earth's atmosphere is closed off. Not even teleportation devices on Earth are capable of targeting Earth without using Zen as a relay point. Teleportation is basically blocked, but scientists found a way to hack around it and ruin everything. Earth has no Zen crystals, it does not produce a resonance. There is nowhere to go to on Earth because Earth has this teleportation logic closed off. It's almost like Earth is under a net, unless you hack around it by using Zen as a relay due to pure accident. Relay allows you to teleport on Earth at fixed coordinates. You don't need a triangulation device on Zen to teleport to Zen. A normal satellite connection with Zen's field is enough. Zen is only reliable teleportation destination. Without it, they wouldn't be able to target destinations on Earth. Not even building two teleportation devices active and linked together would be enough. You still need this middle connection, which would go through a relay on Zen. But to successfully teleport anywhere on Earth, you need to physically pass through Zen and have someone open a portal for you. Or you need a relay which simulates the physical traversal through Zen. Or you need emulation of said relay so that the relay is not needed at all. Closing any portal or using any Zenium resonator wouldn't be possible without a satellite in orbit. Satellite on a rocket is that crucial. It also enabled humanity to find Zen and hold a link, not just close one. Back to the timeline. Some undisclosed amount of time after the incident, the so-called meteorological events started on Earth. Media, named it portal storms. No one had clear explanation as to why they were happening, and the existence of such portal storms had no explanation. It was speculated to be a prelude to an attack of dangerous creatures, a way to destabilize the humanity to then take it over. But here's the strange part. Earth at that point is closed off. With Nihilants dead and resonance reversal being successful, there is no connection, there is no source, and no portal storms were visible or existed during the Black Mesa incident, despite it being an epicenter of the catastrophe. Creatures did not need any portal storms to spawn randomly. It was all held inside Nihilant's head. Therefore, this was yet another act of the shadow government at destabilizing the society. Even something as portal storms needs a source. If that source is closed, there is no displacement. There is no portal storm. Something or someone must have quietly established many sources worldwide for those portal storms to appear. Otherwise, it is impossible. We know that even the Citadel was a source, but there was no Citadel. There was literally no reason for this to occur. It would contradict all the teleportation nature we've seen, especially with teleportation research of humanity being more advanced than anything known back then and right now. Even then, how would the government orchestrate something like that? Then is the answer. The shadow government finally traded Zen to someone else. Connections with Zen popped all around the world, yet again with many displacements hosted all over Earth. This is why in the newspapers we see people reporting that the dangerous creatures, distinct from the Combine, came from those portal storms. This is a new Zen to Earth link, this time more controlled. Then, the storms created extreme quakes that destroyed infrastructure, rockets started bombing buildings from outside the Earth's atmosphere. None of it was supposed to happen. The Earth was protected, all until Zen was taken over by the shadow government. This whole thing reeked of a giant conspiracy. Then, all of a sudden, some military force showed up. Media and the humanity reported them as extraterrestrial. It seems as though Combine popped out of nowhere. There weren't even any reports of Combine coming from portal storms. Newspapers had shown a distinction between aggressive creatures spawned from the portal storms and the Combine. The questions remained. Where did the Combine come from? Dangerous creatures distinct from Combine kept spawning on Earth due to storms, during quakes. Those were the Zen creatures. They did not fly out of the sky rifts or anything like that. Someone who held control of Zen at that time, along with many Earth displacement connections, forcefully started spawning those creatures everywhere. Shadow government is directly responsible for that. Newspapers show a clear distinction between the Combine and the portal storm creatures. Then, after those storms, and after humanity has been presented with those dangerous creatures, Combine popped up, posing as someone extraterrestrial. They took the situation into their hands and contained all those creatures. Newspapers reported that the Combine aren't as aggressive. And then Wallace Breen, amidst all the chaos, appeared at the right place at the right time, contacted UN, and UN were forced to present Wallace Breen to the humanity. Does any of this sound like a normal invasion to you? Everything was carefully orchestrated, order out of chaos. Wallace Breen made a deal with the shadow government long before that. This is how he ended up at the right place at the right time. Years later, Gordon would appear at a different right place and a different right time.
Funny you showing up on this day in particular.
Wallace Breen started spreading fairy tales about how he managed to communicate with the Combine out of all the people in the world. He was the man conserved for this position long in advance. Combine the Universal Union, or so he was saying. But I knew better. The rocket launched by Gordon served many purposes. One of them, as well as Breen led people to believe, was to track when the next portal storms will appear thanks to NASA. Never a straight answer. This fake facility for money laundering. Them! We can't trust a word of this coward. Where was NASA years later? Where was music? Where was anything? Everything was gone. Wallace Breen would say anything, do anything to save face.
Well, I am nothing if not pragmatic.
Fuck you. But now that he's probably dead too, I don't have to worry about this anymore. Day by day, month by month, year by year, the so-called Combine would strip away humanity's freedom. Concerts would get postponed, cancelled. Mass rallies were postponed indefinitely, time and time again. This was Russian government's policies all over again. Everything kept heading to complete shit. He strangled everybody. Everything. Humanity was afraid, died off. So many people. Somewhere in Russia, years later, Breen established his administration. It was no country anymore anyway, just a bunch of cities with different numbers. So much suffering for so long, so much lost. They banned books about civil unrest, about dictatorship governments. They banned so much media. No one printed newspapers anymore. Humanity was sucked out dry. It was the shadow government. Some fuzzy statements, complete nonsense. And so, Gordon woke up in this dictatorship many years later. Humans in uniforms terrorizing civilians, brainwashing of Breen on the screen. What a nightmare!
Don't drink the water. They put something in it to make you forget. I don't even remember how I got here.
Water! They put something in the water. People lost consciousness from being afraid to drink water. Not just drinking water, they lost consciousness from thinking about drinking water. They were afraid to drink water. Nausea. Gordon made his way through the city towards the lab where his old friends Kleiner and Barney held up. This woman Alex, Kleiner from MIT days, used to be Gordon's teacher, they say. They had this teleportation device installed in there. Gordon and Alex were supposed to transport to some junkyard they call Black Mesa East.
So, here we are. The scrapyard. This is a gravity gun.
But it was just a tiny budget Black Mesa. Wasn't a Black Mesa at all. This teleportation device and teleportation device in Black Mesa East are new models. This is the new teleportation technology where you didn't need a Zen relay. All you needed there at that time is just 2 devices active, and the compression of Zen relay would do the rest. Alex made it through, and yet again it was obvious. This is a very resource-intensive teleportation method. Still, building nearly shut down. It was Gordon's turn now. Yet again, nothing quite worked out the way they expected. Nothing ever did with Gordon. He got stuck in this teleportation loop until it subsequently stopped, and had to find a long way through the city to Black Mesa East. Upon reaching it, Dr. Judith Mossman, a double agent for the Combine, briefed Gordon on teleportation advancements.
We're closing in on a reliable local teleport technology. Something the Combine still hasn't mastered. Eli thinks their portals are string-based, similar to our Calabi-Yau model, but they've failed to factor in the dark energy equations. They can tunnel through from their universe, but once they're here, they're dependent on local transportation. If they knew what we were doing with entanglement... Oh. Listen to me, I sound like a postdoc. I'm just so excited to think that we'll finally have the chance to work together. Where was I? Oh, yes. Dr. Kleiner compressed the Zen relay far beyond anything he imagined at Black Mesa. We figured out how to use Zen as an unexpressed axis, effectively a dimensional slingshot. so we can swing around the border world and come back in local space without having to pass through.
As we hear, she tells Gordon everything he needs to know. She explains Gordon how combined teleportation methods are limited. This is why Eli was kept alive for so long. They knew of Black Mesa East, of Eli's whereabouts. There was no need to storm the facility yet, as Eli and Kleiner, for so many years, played a crucial role in improving teleportation techniques that Combine would later be able to use to actually travel more freely. It is here that we see the teleportation methods of the so-called Universal Union aren't actually very universal. They are dependent on Zen, but Gordon is kept in the dark by Mossman about the specifics of what's going on. Eli was exploited for many years without him knowing. The facility was later stormed, Eli was captured, and Gordon had to make his long way to Nova Prospect, a security prison that would later be used to turn humans into Combine. This was revealed to Gordon after he had witnessed that on the security cameras with his own eyes. There, Mossman is revealed as a double agent.
How'd she...
From your area.
I'm not calling about that. What's she up to? You promised you weren't going to touch Eli. Oh my
The
god.
soldiers were a bit overzealous, I admit, but he was too tempting a prize to simply turn loose, especially in the absence of Gordon Freeman.
You would have had Freeman if you'd been patient and just waited for my signal.
We weren't entirely sure you were ever going to get around to that, human loyalties being what they are.
Dr. Breen... As I have stated before, you have to let Eli come around on his own.
I have known Dr. Vance far longer than you, my dear. I'm afraid your feelings for him may have blinded you.
Feelings? This has nothing to do with feelings. It's a simple truth that when Eli believes
This is not open to debate, Dr. Mossman.
Doctor, please.
So sorry, Judith. I'm all out of time.
Damn her! I don't believe this! Come on, Gordon. Now we've really got to hurry. Go on ahead. I'll disrupt the next level of security and catch up to you when I can.
Wallace Breen does not entirely trust Mossman. Trust is difficult in both directions when you are a double agent. The truth is, Mossman believed she could find a compromise between the rebellion force and Breen. She wants to prove that Eli is needed to continue the teleportation research that would later aid Combine. She wants to prove to Breen that the sacrifices and all the killings aren't necessary. But she was naive. There would be no way to find a common ground between Breen and Eli. Inside Nova Prospect, there is a teleportation device that could bring them back to Kleiner's labs. But Mossman had a different idea. Mossman already programmed it to emulate a Zen relay, so passing through Zen physically would not be required, and would not be possible anyway.
I've already reprogrammed the modulator to emulate a Zen relay. That's my father's work you stole. It's my work too! And I had to prove to Dr. Breen that your father would be the most valuable member of any research effort going forward.
Enough of your bullshit! Look, Gordon, there's my dad. I'm going to bring him in.
You found Eli?
So, this is the Combine. It's smaller than I imagined.
Not even Eli was aware. Mossman was the one who broke the news to Gordon about the limitations of Combine. But Combine could not even build a big teleportation device, let alone advance in teleportation research. Combine were clearly dependent on Zen, that Gordon took over and handed to the Shadow Government. This whole work, research, lots of it, has to do with Zen relay emulation. The main questions remain. Why are the teleportation technologies of Combine so limited? Why do they need a couple of nerd scientists to push a teleportation research forward? What about this whole universal union thing? This powerful, nearly undefeatable universal union. Why are they dependent on Zen? Why do they need a research to be able to go wherever they want if they are a universal union, as Breen leads humanity to believe? All this farce about how powerful they are, about turning humanity's eyes towards the stars. The urgency, teleportation research of Eli that Breen knew about. How did they become a universal union? Without Zen, after so much time, without proper or any teleportation techniques? What is the Combine really? How would they get to Earth with portals closed and no teleportation sources available? Why does their presence on Earth contradict teleportation science established long before? Where did the Combine come from? How are they a universal union if they are so weak? The answer: they aren't a universal union. They aren't as powerful as Breen leads humanity to believe. Combine doesn't even exist. There is no evidence of Combine existing. That's right. There is no evidence that their power stretches far across the universes. There is the opposite evidence. Evidence that they're weak, easy to defeat, and that they have no proper teleportation skills. Because when it comes to the real war, opposed to everything that the media led humanity to believe, that the governments who intentionally stand down, they have no actual power. Breen wanted you to believe the opposite. Mossman wanted Gordon to believe the opposite. They are the only two people who claimed that they're a universal union. Gordon is just a pawn who just got off stasis a good decade later. He wouldn't be able to process what's going on. Anything.
Our true enemy is instinct.
He is an embodiment of instinct, who was let out by the Earth's government, who caused Black Mesa incident and the so-called takeover of Earth. His instinct to fight the oppression. He was at the right place at the right time. Contract of Breen was almost over.
I'm sorry, Wallace. You're all out of time.
Prepare for unforeseen consequences.
Dad, prepare for unforeseen consequences.
I'm sorry, Wallace. You're all out of time.
Mossman spoke the code phrase. It is true. Breen is all out of time. The teleportation research was almost over, and Breen lied to humanity that, oh, now they will be able to travel like Combine does, like this universal union. Why? Breen is in an extreme rush. Breen knows his time is almost over. He wants to make use of this time to leave Earth and control Combine outside of Earth. Combine that are generally nothing but humanoid, brainwashed, augmented soldiers mashing creatures together.
Meteorological intelligences, worlds stretched thin across the membranes where the dimensions intersect. Impossible to describe with our limited vocabulary.
Breen had seen the universe from afar, but to get there, he would need the teleportation research. He tried to convince Eli to do it, but he refused.
The Resistance has shown it is willing to accept a new leader. And this one has proven to be a fine pawn for those who control him.
No! Don't listen to him, Gordon.
How about it, Dr. Freeman? Did you realize your contract was open to the highest bidder?
Gordon would never make any kind of deal with you.
Breen's time was up. Therefore, he was ready to hand Gordon Freeman a desolated wasteland that is Earth. His plan was to leave Earth, get a promotion for what he did, go to some other place, outpace and trick the shadow government, while Gordon is stranded here, near a broken trough, as the administrator of Earth, a Jew of sorts. Nothing quite worked out that way, and Breen was forced to evacuate. Breen then contacts a Combine advisor. This is a big grub that was originally some other being. Breen then agrees for his host body to be swapped to another body, to a Combine advisor.
A host body? You must be joking. I can't possibly. Oh, all right, damn it, if that's what it takes. Just hurry, he's right behind me.
This is what the Combine advisors are and were. They used to be high-ranking humans who have been churned into grubs to prolong their lifespan. This was Breen's fate all along. Those weren't some otherworldly creatures. They were human, just like anybody. How far this whole experimentation on creatures stretched long before the Black Mesa incident is a mystery.
Oh my god. This is the Citadel's dark fusion reactor. It powers their tunneling entanglement device.
Alex told Gordon that the dark fusion reactor powers a tunneling entanglement device. Dark fusion reactor is the source on Earth. This is how they move back and forth. This was the primary intention of the Citadel construction. How would the Combine get to Earth without a dark fusion reactor? They need a source on Earth to power the so-called entanglement device. Their so-called overworld is likely just a border world. Then, this is where they carry out their limited teleportation. Even a xenium resonator developed by Magnuson was used to close the rift between Earth and the so-called overworld. This is extremely likely just then. Once a dark fusion reactor is destroyed and there is no source active, no data, Combine cannot magically open a portal on Earth. They never did open some magical portal to Earth during the 7-hour war. The 7-hour war was staged. Combine could never get to Earth. Combine came from Earth. Governments worldwide give up due to a vast shadow government influence. Just 7 hours, they said. There was no real war. Shadow government handed them the keys. Citadel collapses and humanity that lived in CC-17 suffered another big death toll. Classic. And so, the time was up.
Time, Dr. Freeman?
With Wallace Breen thrown out of the rotation, the teleportation research of Eli, of Kleiner, all of it is now safe, and Combine have no power or an ability to conquer anyone else. The shadow government ultimately betrayed Combine, but they were never really friends either. Combine never took control of Zen without Gordon's help, and without shadow government handing it over to them. Combine never invaded Earth at any time in the past. There were many conflicts, lots of times when humanity was at a breaking point. No sign of Combine. No sign of Combine during the Black Mesa incident either. There was no Universal Union. How did the Combine make it to Earth? Where were they during Zen days? Why didn't a Universal Union take over this tiny fraction of land in Zen themselves? Where were they earlier in history, during all the wars, all the unrest? Humanity confused. Media spreading unreliable information at a rapid pace. Humanity was in a position to accept anything, any peace, at any cost. And it was all pre-planned by the Earth government. Humanity needed a great reset. Everything needed a great reset. This was all an operation of enslaving the humanity, weakening it, and depopulating it.
The urge to reproduce.
And it started a long, long time ago. The shadow government engineered the Combine on Earth. High-security prisons were used to augment and brainwash people. All the creatures that teleported from Earth to Zen were caught for days and quickly turned into death machines secretly. That's why it took days for Combine to even show up. They were manufactured shortly after the Shadow government took over them. They did not even exist at the time of Black Mesa incident. Everything that the Shadow government did, enslavement of humanity, all the massive losses, Shadow government made the Combine. They made the Combine to excuse everything that they were doing to humanity. Shadow government, Earth government, this is G-Man. This is his employers. They control both the Combine and the humanity without their knowledge. They might own more worlds outside of Earth. They don't control the Combine directly. They control what they've engineered indirectly to nudge the world into a specific direction from time to time.
They authorize me to nudge things in a particular direction from time to time. What would you want nudged, Miss Vance?
They control humanity indirectly to cause all the conflicts, to manipulate economy, media, everything. If either the Combine or the humanity knew of their existence, G-Man and his employers would be arrested. This is what happened to G-Man during Half-Life Alyx. G-Man was captured by the Combine. When G-Man was let out, he did not hold a grudge to Combine. He did not really care. He was not even that important. His employers are. The other reptilians in the suits. But who were the then creatures running from? Why did the Nihilans have these augmentations? They did not run from the Combine. They ran from people. From Black Mesa stealing their crystals. From sinister scientists catching them, storing them, and modifying them. Humanity, people of Earth are the Combine.
Think about it. Wasn't the main reason we were trying to go to space for decades for the resources? If we had the power to enslave them, wouldn't we? Hell, we enslave our own kind. We couldn't care less about an alien race. That's just nature playing out its own game. It's always been between predator and prey. That's the balance.
They were a next step to an evolution in the eyes of the Shadow government. Same humans, doing exactly what the humans are doing, with all the science and applying it for total world domination, but without emotion, without those constructs that kept humanity from progress. This was the project, a next step towards a TS evolution, engineering something so strong, but the Shadow government still needed to keep them on a tight leash. This is why this was Gordon Freeman's assignment, to not yet give the Combine all this power. Not yet. Too early. And to especially not give Breen all this power. Breen had to go. Actions of the Shadow government are contradictory. First they would give power to someone, then they would take away their power. This is how they work. They change and restructure everything to their advantage. Times change. Vegetables, fruits, creatures grow old. There is always a need for some kind of change. Only this change may benefit a small portion of people and not everybody. This is what happened later when G-Man lost interest in Gordon Freeman. Eli was executed by the Combine advisor with information of all the teleportation research sucked out of his brain. Here the Combine became empowered, but the Earth was still somewhat safe, as no new source was built and Combine were cut off from the Earth's atmosphere. Gordon, or so one of the stories goes, activated a time-traveling missile from Borealis. Alyx was taken away, possibly into the other timeline, doesn't matter. Gordon is stuck in this horrific timeline he created, all because Vortigons have quote-unquote saved Gordon and went against powerful Shadow government plans.
We'll see about that.
He observed the Combine world, but that Combine world was built thousands, if not millions of years later. They came from Earth, then from them, and started with nothing. They've expanded, thanks to Eli's research sucked out of his brain, a Dyson sphere. Gordon was one-on-one with what he feared. He could not defeat the Combine. So many years later, they've advanced. Gordon saved Earth, but might have pledged the universes to terror. But did he? We'll never know. But we might never see this timeline ourselves. Breen was a pawn. He was only a public figure. He did not truly control anything. He was at the top of a pyramid, not above it. It was the New World Order. It emerged from all the terror, unrest that humanity experienced over the centuries leading up to that point. It was all staged. The 7-hour war was staged. The humanity was lied to. The humanity was depopulated. The humanity was exploited. But shadow government still controls the Earth. It is their baby. Shadow government would be easy to cripple if Combine and the humanity knew it controlled them, so they had to act from the shadow. They would not let Combine stay on Earth for that long. They'd push the Combine out of Earth definitively. They've already manufactured another form of species that came from humans and a bunch of other creatures. It was time to push them off Earth and begin the process on Earth all over again. Depopulation, repopulation, depopulation and repopulation again. A cycle, a hand of madness. Everything that has happened already happened in a different form a long time ago. Shadow government handed the Combine keys to Zen. They've established a bunch of sources on Earth for the humanoid military force, transported Combine to Zen, and then from Zen, they've started spreading the creatures all around the Earth. This was something more controlled, something that they could pull a plug on at any time if they wanted. For Combine to then appear and claim victory over everybody, to impress the humanity, to intimidate them, and show them that only the Combine can control this whole situation. Only the Combine could keep the humanity safe. That was the idea behind the whole conspiracy, to trigger chaos and establish order out of it. Governments all around the world were forced to give up. Military was intentionally crippled for days before Combine even appeared. It was all coordinated. It was all shadow governments doing. United Nations gave the keys to Wallace Breen, who already had a deal with G-Man beforehand. This is how it all came into fruition. This is how the government works. Everything was quick, coordinated, pre-planned. Earth quote-unquote surrendered in just 7 hours, and Gordon Freeman single-handedly cripples their presence on Earth. One man. There was no 7-hour war. There was no one to bring war. Governments pathetically surrendered at the request of the shadow government. Black Mesa incident already crippled the military, possibly other conflicts in the world that weren't spoken about. Shadow government destabilized, betrayed the humanity, to then brutally condition and enslave them. Who is the G-Man? Who are his employers? They aren't human. They are above the pyramid. They are the shadow government. They are more advanced species, more advanced than human. Those are what you would call reptilians, lizards. G-Man speaks and emphasizes the letter S.
I am impressed. They agree with me that you have limitless potential. But there is still the lingering matter of witnesses.
Mr. Freeman, rest.
So we did a take on all the G-Man lines with kind of a straight voice, and I was thinking that, okay, we have something safe, but we're not super excited about it, and give us something else. And he does this crazy lizard voice.
The border world, Zen, is in our control for the time being, thanks to you. Quite a nasty piece of work you managed over there. I am impressed.
And we took it back, and everybody just loved the crazy lizard voice, and so that's how it worked out.
He and his employers only change their looks to that of a human, like a chameleon changing color. Lizards, with all the biomes, with Zen, with everything in this world. It is by far not the craziest truth to behold. It is by far as fitting as it could ever be. But not everyone, and not even their creators, have the courage to admit that. They'll play it safe. It's not about Combine not existing. It's not about any of this. I used a bunch of Valve's incompetent plot holes as a way to tell the message that is far more important than this game's story. The truth is, all these complications are a result of Valve themselves not knowing what to do with the story. The plot holes are a direct result of that. Half-Life Alyx's engine itself generates a ton of holes and illogical plot points that feel awkward and are more of a fan service. Yeah, let's warn Alyx of telling Eli about unforeseen consequences, to then steal Alyx by directly meddling with the future from the past. Just because they don't know what they're doing with the story, and don't understand how time continuum works. It doesn't. As a matter of fact, they really didn't. This was forced by the writers, while the actual developers immediately rejected this poor, awkward retcon. It's lazy, but hey, it's just a separate entity. This game took a dump on Half-Life's lore and narrative by the Saints Row writer and a writer who never finished high school, and people happily eat it up. Bad for you. Everything that has happened. The Black Mesa secret facility in the desert, unexplained sky phenomenon, fears of humanity, peace at any cost, a public figure, reptilian G-Man, government conspiracies. It all came straight out of a conspiracy theory book. And it did. This is what the original story is. It is the embodiment of the New World Order. But a different kind, non-liberal kind, non-free kind. Not a brave new world. Not with humanity's diversities intact. Isn't this what you conservatives want? Isn't this what you ask for instead? Think about your actions. What about Sean? What about everything of that kind? What happened in the story is a depiction of a different kind of New World Order. But what kind of the New World Order is our world leading to? This video is not meant to teach you the lore of a video game. This video is a warning to reflect on politics, to see the patterns, to see terror and war for what it all really is, the rising hatred, the distrust in the governments worldwide, weakening of humanity, slow, deliberate, to see madness with a clear sight if it were to occur.
Be wise. Be safe.